Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Afriani Amra and my number student identity is 2023-1002. And in this video, I will explain to my essay about rain. Okay, I made this video to fulfill the exercise of English for Science courses. And the lecturer of the course is Miss Primasari PhD. Alright, check it out. Alright, in this video, I will explain about rain. The first, we will introduce about rain. Basically, the lives of all creatures depend heavily on the presence of water, one of which is sourced from rain. Because rain will be an important source of water if we cannot access other water sources, such as rivers, lakes, or wells. In addition, rainwater also has many benefits. For example, to irrigate agricultural land, industrial interests, and power plants. The next, rain is the main source of clean water in the most part of the world, because the water produced by rain can help various ecosystems. No less important, the phenomenon of rain is part of the process of water formation. When the water falls to the Earth's surface, that's when it's called rain. Not all fallen water can reach the earth. Many of them just evaporate. This condition often occurs in hot and dry areas such as the wilderness. Alright, absorption of rainwater into the soil can be through crevice soil pores and through rocks. Water that enters the soil will be a source of water or reserve water. Therefore, it is important to provide a water catchment area so that there is sparse water. Usually, water catchment areas are available in forests with dense vegetation, so that the trees in the forest are able to strengthen the structure of the soil so that when it rains, the water doesn't just waste away. Water will be absorbed and stored in the ground. Thus, the stored water will become groundwater. The role of plants is also very important to facilitate the absorption of water into the soil, especially in the roots of plants. Water and roots in the soil are able to make the soil structure become sturdy and not easily landslide. However, the rain is not as simple as the water that falls from the sky. The occurrence of rain passes through several processes of the water cycle. In general, the stages of rain are divided into three, namely evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. Alright, there are three processes of rain. The first step is evaporation, and the next condensation, and the last one is precipitation. Okay, we can explain. The first step is evaporation. The first step that is faced is evaporation, which is the process of evaporation of water. The heat of the Earth's temperature from the sun will make the water of rivers, lakes, and seas evaporate into grains of water vapor. The water vapor will rise into the atmosphere, then clumps into clouds. When the air temperature gets hotter, the more water will evaporate into the air. This will cause more heavy rain. Accidentally spill a glass of water somewhere, for example on the floor or on the street. Within a few hours, the water will disappear. How could it be? Yes, it can happen because the spilled water has undergone an evaporation process. The evaporation process can be faster if it occurs when the temperature in a place is hot due to the scorching sunlight. Evaporation becomes the initial stage of series of rain process. Solar thermal energy makes water in the sea, rivers, lakes, and many water sources on the Earth's surface evaporate. When the sun's heat gets higher, more water will evaporate and rise into the Earth's atmosphere. Alright, the second step is condensation. The next step is the condensation. Water vapor from the process of evaporation will rise into the atmosphere, then experience condensation or condensation. In this process, water vapor will turn into very small ice particles. The ice particles formed from the water vapor will approach each other when they form with clumps, commonly called clouds. The process of ice particles approaching each other and forming clouds is called coexistence. At the stage, the ice particles have a radius of about 5 until 20 millimeters in the size. The water will fall at a speed of 0.0201 until 5 centimeters of second. Meanwhile, a higher airflow speed will keep the particles from falling to earth. The change in water vapor into the ice is influenced by temperature difference in the height of cloud in the air. As the higher the clouds form, the temperature will get colder. In the condensation process, water vapor will rise to the top because it is exposed to heat from the sun. Once the water vapor rise high enough, there is condensation that turns into water droplets. If you have ever seen a glass of cold water on the table, the water vapor in the glass will condense, then become droplets of water. This something happens when water vapor rises into the sky and becomes a liquid. However, please note that not all the condensing water will form clouds. That's because some condense near the ground, some rise into fog, and some will rise into the sky to form clouds. Alright, the third step is precipitation. The third process is precipitation. Precipitation is the process of melting ice ground into clouds, then falling into raindrops to earth. Clouds that have formed in the previous process may be blown away and carried away so that becomes raining elsewhere from the previous process. Clouds that are already too dense with water vapor and can longer withstand the burden of water will fall inland, then become raindrops. The size of raindrops varies from 0.5 millimeters or greater. Meanwhile, the drizzle rain measures less than 0.5 millimeters. The size usually varies depending on the location of the cloud that is raining. Drizzle is lowered by shallow clouds, while heavy rain is lowered by clouds of medium or very high height. Because of the very high rain position, the air where the clouds are very cold, then usually the rain will fall as snow or ice. The further it decreases closer to land, it will melt into rainwater. The closer to land, the temperature will warm up, then melt the ice points. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, do you know each hemisphere has different rainfall? For example, in the desert region, the rainfall is less than 10 millimeters of rain per year, unlike the case with tropical countries such as Indonesia, which on average has rainfall of 2,000 until 3,000 millimeters a year. The thing to watch out for is acid rain, which is a cloud consisting of clumps of water vapor, also contain other particles such as dust, salt, smoke, and pollutants. If the cloud contains sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide compounds, then both substances interact with water, it will become acid rain. Acid rain is very dangerous for plants, animals, marine plants, and soil. Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide compounds are actually contained in normal air. However, in some conditions, levels of both compounds increase in the air. Conditions that can cause both substances to increase, such as volcanic eruption and smoke burning fossil fuels. Rainwater will fall on the land, in the sea, and also on the ground. When rainwater that falls on the ground will seep into groundwater, then will come out through the well. In addition, rainwater will also seep into the lake or river. Meanwhile, rainwater that falls into waters such as rivers and lakes will increase the amount of water in the place. Then the water will flow into the sea. However, some of the water where the waters will evaporate again. The evaporation process will form clouds that also come from plants. The process of the water cycle will continue to repeat. It is just that the form and place change. Alright, there is a video about rhyme. You might watch this video to know about rhyme process. Enjoy it.
Let's look at the science of rain and how raindrops form. First, we'll need the sun. When the sun shines on water on the Earth's surface, the heat of the sun warms the water, turning it into an invisible gas called water vapor. This process, the changing of water into a gas, is called evaporation. Because gases are lighter than liquids, water vapor rises up into the sky. And the further you move up and away from the Earth's surface, the colder the temperature gets. So in the sky, the water vapor cools and changes back into tiny water droplets. This change is called condensation and is the opposite of evaporation. Clouds are made up of tiny water droplets, so when condensation occurs in the sky, clouds form and grow. Let's take a closer look. When water droplets bump into one another, they stick together and grow in size. They continue to grow until they are too heavy and fall as rain. They even grow as they bump into one another on their journey from the cloud to the ground. And every single raindrop that reaches the ground is made up of 1 million of the original tiny water droplets. Raindrops fall on the ground surface where the sun can shine on them, and the whole process happens again. This is called the water cycle and keeps water moving from the ground to the sky, providing the water needed for plants, animals and people to survive. So now you know.
Right, I am Afriani Amra. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.